friends, Cassandra here. It's so nice to meet or see you again. I've got a question for you. While food costs are always important to keep in mind, would you agree that the main benefit to buying whole chickens and cutting them up yourself isn't just the savings? In fact, I think you hardly need any convincing on that end. But something I do think that gets easily missed are all of the pantry items that you can make when you buy a whole chicken. Now, this is not a video about buying a whole lot of meat and keeping it in the freezer. In this video, I'm going to share 8 ways that you can put to use a stockpile of chicken for dinner tonight or in a few months, and products that will last just as long. So do yourself a favor and know that if you start buying whole chickens, you can stop buying chicken broth, bouillon cubes, make your own oil, have shelf-stable canned chicken, make your own lard, and fried onions. How? Good question. Let's head to the kitchen. Let's start with how to cut up a whole chicken. Now, this is just how I do it, but there are many techniques. I like to start by taking several bowls and use those to divide the pieces of chicken that I'll have, and then I'll take my freezer bags, cutting board, and knife and have that ready to go. Start the chicken with the breast side up and use the fat lines as a guide to cut. When you pull the leg away from the body, you'll be able to easily slice through between the breast and the drumstick. And after you make the initial incision, you'll want to turn the chicken on its side and use your thumb to feel about and press into the thigh bone until it pops out of its socket. After this, it's easy to cut through the joint and skin, which will completely detach from the leg. And here's the same process on the other side. To divide the drumstick and the thigh, you'll cut along the white fat line to separate the thigh from the drumstick. Now, if you remember the phrase, fat is your friend, you really can't go wrong cutting up a chicken because most of the fat lines are the places where we'll be making incisions. Next, lift the chicken and use the weight of the body to cut into the joint for a quick detachment. Now, cut downward through the rib cage and then to the shoulder joints to separate the breast from the chicken pack, which is what you'll need to make stock. But if you're unsure where to cut, use those fat lines. Say it with me, fat is your friend. Give the chicken a good pull to completely separate the back from the breast. Now, unless my husband is grilling, I prefer to use skinless chicken breasts when I cook with them, which is why you see me removing the skin. But don't throw this away. We're going to use it later on, so stay tuned. Next, place the breast skin side down and use your knife to create a split in the center bone. Turn it over and then use your hands to press on the incision that you made, which easily cracks the bone, and then you can slice it into 2 separate pieces. And voila, depending on how many chickens you've cut, you've created your own bulk bags of wings, thighs, and drumsticks. And don't forget to bag the gizzards too to save for gravies. Now let's make some chicken stock, and let me be honest, I can't remember the last time I used fresh vegetables like this to make my stock because I love freezing the ends of carrots and celery, onion skins, and use green onions from my garden, but I worked my way through those reserves for some other recipes. So save and freeze your veggies for sure, but here's where you'll take an assortment of these items, and I like to add garlic and peppercorns along with any herbs that you prefer to make your stock. I've got to add that this is what I love about making stock. It may always turn out a bit different, but it's because you're using what you have growing in your garden or scraps that are saved in your freezer or seasonal produce so nothing goes to waste, and let your taste buds be your guide. After submerging your ingredients in water, you'll bring it to a gentle simmer for at least 4 hours, but I like to do mine between 12 and 15. And can I tell you how comforting it is to wake up to or leave and enter your house with the aromatics of chicken stock? Now you can easily do this in the crock pot, but I needed to use my extra large stock pot because I was processing 4 carcasses. I later canned these, but if you're not a canner, go ahead and freeze your stock in freezer bags or ice cube trays, because the price you'll pay at the store for the free item we just made and the superior taste can't be beat. Next up, we're going to batch roast some chicken so that we can debone the chicken between the light and dark meat, freeze it into portion freezer bags, which makes it easy for a weekday meal when you need the chicken already cooked. My job, life, and family keep me busy, so I love having some of my meat canned, dehydrated, and frozen for practical and preservation purposes. And yes, I added these carcasses to my stock. One reason I love roasting chicken is because this is where you'll get our lard and our bouillon from, and that's coming right up. But one thing I hope you're taking away from this process is that it isn't really labor intensive. In fact, I would say cutting the chicken is the hardest part. The stock simply simmers, the chicken simply bake, and we have a small bit of frying to do later on. By the way, I'll insert a card showing you how I can my chicken. It is super easy, but there are some details that I flesh out, so check out that video if you're interested. Y'all, I was able to bag about 10 quarts of cooked chicken. Usually cooking your proteins is the longest part of a meal, so having this ready is a true time saver. When you lift your cooked chickens out of the pan, you'll be left with this liquid gold, which are your chicken drippings. My cook from scratch soul lives for this, and it was a staple in my grandma's kitchen. All you do is strain your drippings into a wide-mouthed jar or a cup to get the meat bits out and stick it in the fridge so that the fat rises to the top and the gelatin sinks to the bottom. This is incredible seasoning and flavor, and the fat portion is the secret ingredient for the best pie crust ever, or a cast iron seasoning to make your biscuits, vegetables, or meats in. It just takes your cooking to a whole different level. Now I know that lard has a bad rap, but don't let the Crisco people fool you. You should see what's in shortening. Lard, which is home rendered, is actually good for you. Lard is a real natural food, so don't be afraid to use it if you use it in moderation. The gelatinous part is like bouillon, and I like to slice it into medallions, individually wrap them and freeze them for quick additions to flavor brown rice or soups and my infamous shrimp and grits. It tastes amazing, y'all. Alright, so let's not forget to make our bone broth. We've acquired a number of chicken carcasses and bone bits. And similar to the stock, I like to add what I have on hand. I'm currently making my fall and winter batches of fire cider, so I have some horseradish, more celery, carrots, and of course a splash of apple cider vinegar to draw out the nutrients from the bones. Bone broth is a liquid containing brewed bones and connective tissues. Drinking bone broth is known to be beneficial for the joints and digestive system, and is a great drink I like to start my fall and winter months with, even before my coffee. I haven't forgotten about our chicken skin, and I get that some of y'all might do a double take on this one, but if you even remotely enjoy a little bit of skin on a fried drumstick or chips, or are looking for a homemade version of French onions, this, my friends, is it. Simply take the skins and fry them on medium to low heat, and you'll get 2 byproducts. The first are cracklings, which are delicious sprinkled over salads or on top of casseroles. Think a green bean casserole. And believe me, just try it. The second item you'll get is free oil, and chicken oil has a moderate smoke point. And if you're already purchasing vegetable or canola or other oils, you'll get a decent amount to use for everyday items in your kitchen completely free. To get more useful tips for your homestead dream, kitchen, or garden, consider clicking subscribe. Until next week, take care, friends.